Welcome back, dears. We are moving on to next session in our paper, Writing for the Media.
So, what is broadcast news analysis? Before moving on to this, what does broadcast news mean? Broadcast news or news broadcasting is the medium of broadcasting of various news events and other information via television, radio, or internet in the field of broadcast journalism. So the content is usually either produced locally in a radio studio or television studio newsroom or by a broadcast network. News analysis are features on hard or sport news that are trend driven. So they focus either on breaking news or running stories. TV news is timely and has its impact upon its audience. So the web too has been able to redefine the way we receive and interpret news. As time is premium on TV, a limited amount of time is set aside for analysis of high impact news. The web, with its limitless features, allows the kind of analysis and discussion on a scale that would not be possible within the framework of broadcasting. Websites that offer news and links to videos of news stories often provide detailed analysis or interpretations of the event. The major objectives of broadcast news analysis are: it is to explain complex events and circumstances in a straightforward, concise and eloquent way. It will give you more information and they will be explaining the events more detailed manner to guide viewers or readers to certain conclusions or opinions. So by watching certain news, that will help the viewer or that will help the reader to attain to get a certain opinion or conclusion, and it will help you to draw your attention to little known facts or various features of a problem. So suppose any incident happen, through the news the news analysts, they will draw your attention to even the less known facts, and they will talk about various features of a problem. They will analyze a particular news in every detailed manner. A broadcast analyst, typically they work for television or radio station, and they will inform the public about current events, news on an international, national or local level. So the broadcast news analysts are commonly called anchors. So some broadcasters actually analyze and they will interpret news stories and communicate their opinion. So what about the nature of this broadcast news analysis? So it is an interpretive piece of journalism. It can be either conversational or formal in nature, and they will question the readers or viewers' understanding of events, and they will present a viewpoint. And it places related news stories together and the videos from variety of sources together so that the listener or the reader can go through all those related news. Then the news analysis on the web allows for participation and response from the user. Suppose if you watch news on web or if you watch any online news on YouTube, there is a chance that there is a provision for you to add your comment. So you can participate you can respond immediately. So it also becomes a forum for discussion and public debates. So what is digital correspondence? The need for the internet is ever so increasing. Whether you are an expert, student, non-professional, professional, everyone is turning extensively towards the internet for their daily use. So there are many things which we can do on internet. Perhaps many things have become a lot easier because of the use of internet. Even formal email writing has been so accessible nowadays that many companies don't even need to train their employees regarding this. So it's high time to upgrade your business communication with e-correspondence platform. Things have turned a lot simpler and easier with the inception of this new idea, rather than through which you can secure important documents, speed up the approvals, sharing important details within the team, and publishing instantly. This is the main concept of e-correspondence. So what is the need of digital correspondence or e-correspondence. Today, the business industry, it's moving a lot faster as compared to the times of traditional approach of the business. So whether large scale or small scale, each establishment is trying to gain global recognition while becoming mobile and digitizing its business operations. The concept of digitization is quite familiar in workplaces as it has brought several new factors to drive up efficiencies, cost savings, productivity, adaptability, and flexibility. So, this is where the concept of email comes into play. So, email, the electronic mails, they are the electronic versions of the letters. So, this digital form of communication allows for instant, easy, direct, personal, efficient communication, and it has a global reach that you have to follow when you write an email. So always include a clear subject matter. Okay, because it will help to capture what your email is all about. So if your email is urgent or requires immediate response, include this in the subject line. But do this sparingly. So if your email is not urgent, then you will only annoy people by crying wolf. So don't capitalize all your letters, no matter how urgent your email is, as you will look aggressive. So it's like shouting over an email. So never use fully capitalize. You can use sentence structure, sentence case. And always use an appropriate greeting. Salutations are hotly debated, so many argue that you should always use formal greeting. So this depends upon actually the recipient. So if you are writing to a close colleague or your among your team, an informal hi is okay. Then if you're writing in a chain of emails where the context has already been established in prior emails or even by phone, then that's fine to write with no greeting. So if you're writing to someone you don't know so well, then always add a formal salutation and an introduction. Then only use shorthand if you know your recipients. So if you are writing to your own team about a project that you have been discussing, then you can write shorthands. You can write in bullet point, etc. So this means they can quickly understand the task and it's easier to read on a smartphone. However, what's the problem is that sending a note like this to people you don't know can make that appear very blunt, rude, or even as a bully. So if you don't have a pre-existing relation with the recipient, then you need to build up first before writing shorthand emails. So equally, don't write emails that are superfluous, as this will just bore the recipient. And always you have to be wary of using humor or colloquialism across cultures. So beware that funny saying or colloquialism are may be completely misconstructed by your colleagues in overseas offices. So at first you could insult them. At best you can make them feel confused or left out. So don't use colloquialism if you are communicating with overseas people. Then consider the purpose of your email. So always state if your email needs an action and by when. So open-ended emails can be confusing. Having an action or even letting the recipient know that no further action is required is helpful. So whatever you do before you click send, visualize what you want to achieve and modify your language as much as possible. Then so your email must be short. It must be up to the point and in a good taste. So reply, okay, when you get an email, you have to reply promptly, especially in terms of business email. So the email, when not used in personal sense, must be written in a very formal manner. There are some rules. We have to follow that rules. Conventions of writing business correspondence to be followed. So there are some rules when we write a formal letter, so that the conventions of business writing correspondence must be followed even when you write email. Then, as we have already mentioned, do not use capital letters in subject, and this is akin to shouting. So it shows your arrogance. So even in your main content and in your subject line, don't use fully capitalized sentences. So we can follow rules of grammar when writing emails and capitalize the first alphabet of the sentence and do spelling and grammar checks. So your email should be free of grammar errors and spelling errors, so you have to check it before you click the send button. Then jargons to be used only if familiar to the sender, as we have already mentioned. You avoid using colloquialism and jargon only if you are sending to your close colleagues or close people. If they are familiar with your jargons and colloquialism, then it is okay. But if if you are sending to people whom you don't know, then try to avoid these jargons and colloquialism. Then try to write in appropriate tone. That is important. The message should be reread, edited, and revised before sending. So before you send, you have to go through, make a glance throughout your email, and you have to reread it. And if wanted, you have to edit it. So revise it before sending. So what an email should contain: an informative subject line must be there. The body should begin with an appropriate salutation or greeting. The main points of the message must be clear and communicate the purpose of the email at the beginning itself. This helps in easy reading and understanding what is your whole message is about. So then give enough background details. Then when sending attachments, identify contents and file types and identify content with the appropriate file name. Then an email should end with an appropriate salutation. Closing subscription must be there. Identification such as the name of the sender, destination, contact details can be given at the end. Then include electronic signature as well if needed. So instant messaging or IM, it is a form of text-based communication in which two persons participate in a single conversation over their computers or by using their phone within an internet-based chat room. So this can refer to text messages that are sent from phones, as in the form of SMS, or to the messages sent by computer. So in the second context, it allows two or more persons to communicate via chat. It allows instant and easy communication. It can be used in business or personal scenario. The cost is very insignificant. It's an interactive medium which allows instant response and feedback. You can copy the message, you can save it, or if you want, you can forward it. So what are the rules of IM? So informal language and abbreviations are the norm, and privacy must be respected, and take time to find if the recipient has time to reply. And messages must be short and that must be up to the point, and it must be appropriate and in good taste, and keep cultural differences in mind when communicating. So these are some of the rules that you have to keep in mind when you